The void of space was silent, but the battlefield screamed. The wreckage of shattered vessels drifted like tombstones, marking the graves of countless warriors. Alien warships, sleek, angular, and bristling with plasma cannons, moved in coordinated formations, their weapons tearing through the remnants of a failing human fleet. The United Earth Navy was losing. Commodore Elias Voss clenched his jaw as he watched the battle unfold from the bridge of the HSS Revenant, Earth's last hope. The command deck was bathed in the eerie blue glow of holographic displays, tracking every ship, every explosion, every death. The enemy, the relentless and merciless Solari Dominion, had come to finish what they started. "They're wiping us out," muttered Lieutenant Ariadne Cho, her fingers flying over her console. "We have 5 destroyers left. The Vanguard just got vaporized." Voss took a slow breath. "Then it's time." He turned to his helmsman. "Engage the Warbringer protocol." The order was met with silence. A deep, heavy silence of anticipation. Then, the Revenant answered. The ship's engines roared to life, their plasma cores burning white-hot. Power surged through its massive frame, activating systems deemed too dangerous, too destructive for conventional warfare. The armored plating along the hull shifted, revealing hidden weapons, experimental railguns, and the devastating spinal-mounted Tachyon lance. The Revenant was no ordinary warship. It was humanity's last gamble. "All weapons online," Cho reported, her voice filled with something Voss hadn't heard in days. "Hope." "Good," Voss said, stepping forward. He watched the enemy fleet, hundreds of ships strong, pressing in for the kill. They had no idea what was coming. The Solari were an ancient race undefeated for millennia. Their empire had crushed entire civilizations without breaking formation. To them, humanity was a primitive nuisance, a rebellious ember to be snuffed out. But humanity had never played by their rules. "Charge the Tachyon lance," Voss ordered. The forward section of the Revenant glowed with unstable energy, space, itself bending and distorting as the weapon fed on the ship's core. The Solari ships hesitated. Their battle formations wavered. They had never seen a human vessel do this before. Voss narrowed his eyes. Fire! A beam of condensed tachyon energy lanced through the darkness, cutting across the enemy fleet like a god's sword. Time seemed to slow. Ships that had once been symbols of Solari dominance were torn apart in an instant, detonating as their reactors went critical. The Solari flagship, a behemoth that had led countless conquests, was cleaved in half. The battlefield trembled. For the first time, the enemy knew fear. "Direct hit," Cho shouted. "We just took out half their fleet in one shot." The surviving Solari ships scrambled to reposition, but the Revenant wasn't finished. Automated, turrets spat hyper-accelerated slugs at near-light speed, shredding enemy fighters. Missile bays opened, releasing warheads that hunted their targets with relentless precision. The once invincible Solari armada was now burning wreckage. A message came through, static-filled, desperate. A Solari admiral, his reptilian face twisted, in disbelief appeared on the hollow screen. What are you?" he rasped. Voss leaned in, his voice calm but unyielding. "We're humanity." The Revenant surged forward, weapons blazing, and for the first time in history, the Solari turned and ran. The battle was won. But the war had just begun. The vast emptiness of space was a graveyard. Wreckage of shattered human vessels drifted in eerie silence, their hulls torn apart by merciless plasma fire. The Solari Dominion, an empire spanning thousands of systems, had come to finish humanity's last defenders. For the past 4 hours, the United Earth Navy had fought desperately. They were outnumbered, outgunned, and outmatched. What had begun as a strategic counteroffensive had devolved into sheer survival. The once proud human fleet was now a scattering of crippled ships, their distress beacons blinking like fading stars. But the battle was not over. A deep, guttural hum reverberated through space as a new presence emerged from the void. A warship unlike any before. On the bridge of the last great human warship, Commodore Elias Voss stood rigid, his sharp gaze fixed on the battlefield through the reinforced viewport. His face was illuminated by the glow of emergency lights. Oh, reflection of the dire situation outside. Status report, he ordered, his voice steady despite the chaos. Lieutenant Ariadne Cho's fingers danced across her console, pulling up real-time data. Our fleet is down to 5 remaining destroyers. The Vanguard and Orion's Wrath have been completely obliterated. Enemy formations are closing in. We have... She hesitated, swallowing hard. Less than 10 minutes before they wipe us out. Voss exhaled slowly. 10 minutes. That was all humanity had left. His gaze drifted toward the tactical holo display, where crimson markers representing Zalari warships swarmed like a horde of locusts. The enemy flagship, a behemoth lined with obsidian armor and glowing sigils of conquest, loomed at the center of the formation. For centuries, the Zalari had ruled through terror and precision. They did not expect resistance to last this long. They did not expect humanity to fight this hard. They certainly did not expect this ship. Voss turned to his crew. Engage the Warbringer protocol. The order sent a ripple of tension across the bridge. Engineers held their breath. Tactical officers exchanged glances. Then, the Revenant answered. Deep within the warship's titanium heart, ancient reactors roared to life. Power surged through the spinal conduit, activating systems deemed too dangerous, too destructive for conventional warfare. The hull plating along the ship's exterior shifted, revealing hidden weapon arrays, experimental railguns, plasma disruptors, and missile pods armed with planet-cracking warheads. And at its core, the ship's deadliest weapon came online, the Tachyon Lance. A deep, resonant pulse rippled across space as the forward section of the Revenant glowed with unstable energy. The Zalari fleet hesitated for the first time. Their captains, so used to effortless victories, found themselves questioning the unknown. Charge is at 70%, Cho reported, her voice laced with excitement and dread. Voss studied the enemy fleet. They were adjusting their formations, preparing for a standard engagement. They had no idea what was about to hit them. He narrowed his eyes. Fire. A lance of condensed tachyon energy erupted from the bow of the Revenant, slicing through the void at incomprehensible speed. The first enemy warship in its path had no chance to evade. It was vaporized instantly. The beam continued, tearing through hull after hull, its destructive force ripping apart the very fabric of space. Then, in a blinding cascade of explosions, the Zalari flagship, their command vessel, their symbol of dominance, was cleaved in two. Its dying plasma core ignited, sending shock waves through the battlefield. A stunned silence fell over the remaining Zalari ships. Their invincible fleet had been reduced to debris in a single shot. On the bridge of the Revenant, a collective breath was held. Then the crew erupted into cheers. Officers pounded their consoles. Engineers whooped in disbelief. Even Voss, the hardened veteran, allowed himself a small victorious smirk. But the battle was not yet won. The remaining Zalari forces, though shaken, regrouped quickly. Their rear formations split apart, swarming like insects desperate to sting before their doom. They're retaliating, Cho warned. Multiple energy signatures inbound, plasma torpedoes, railgun slugs, mass drivers, they're throwing everything at us. Voss didn't flinch. Full power to kinetic shields, engage countermeasures. The Revenant moved. Despite its massive frame, it was agile, shifting like a predator in the dark. Auto turrets roared to life, intercepting incoming torpedoes with pinpoint accuracy. Decoy drones scattered, confusing enemy targeting systems. Then, it was humanity's turn. Target their battle cruisers, Voss commanded. Hit them with everything we have. A wall of missiles streaked from the Revenant, their thrusters, burning like angry comets. They weaved through the battlefield, each one finding its mark. Enemy ships exploded in waves, their defenses crumbling. The tide had turned. One by one, Zalari vessels began retreating. These warlords of the galaxy, undefeated for millennia, were now fleeing. Humanity, the so-called lesser species, had defied the impossible. Then a signal crackled through the bridge's speakers. A transmission, weak, garbled, desperate. The image of a Zalari admiral flickered into view. His reptilian face, normally a mask of arrogance, was filled with something alien to his kind. Fear. What are you? He hissed. Voss stepped forward, his expression cold as steel. We are humanity. He let those words sink in, let them carry across the battlefield, across the stars. Then, the Revenant surged forward, weapons blazing, as the last remnants of the enemy fleet scattered. Into the void, the battle was won. The war had just begun.